Hi, and welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. We're out here at the Monorail, and today we're going to try to put some fencing underneath this thing and keep a few of the critters out of it. So, one of the problems with having an off-grid cabin made out of a monorail is that it's not very critter-proof. And the raccoons love to get in here and romp around. There's little paw prints on everything, little muddy handprints, and then in the driver's cab it's just filthy. There's mud everywhere, there's raccoon footprints, there's poop. It's gross in here, so I want to keep the critters out of here if at all possible. Now the mice are another story. They're almost impossible to keep out of anything. In fact, there's a mouse nest right there. I think when I first got this thing from the zoo, I opened it up and mice started popping out of this control panel. So, yeah, you can't keep them out, but it'd be nice to at least keep the giant pooping raccoons out of here. So there are a couple places that the raccoons like to get into. We have these little hatches in between the monorail cars, and we've been calling these the Jeffries tubes because they're kind of the maintenance crawlways. You can technically get between cars this way, but I have them stuffed full of like buckets and sandbags and extra junk that I'm storing. So the raccoons like to crawl up from underneath, and you can see I've started to attempt to put in some chicken wire to keep them out, but it really doesn't work. So I need to get down in there and screen off more of the underside of the train. Now they also like to pop these Jeffries tubes open and romp around inside the cabins. So I've put these little safety locks on. I don't know if these are going to work yet, but these are hopefully going to keep the Jeffries tube's doors closed against a raccoon pushing on it from the other side. And it remains to be seen how well that actually works in practice. People keep asking me to show off the interior of this monorail, and honestly it's not that interesting. Everything is in buckets and mouse-proof containers at the moment. And then we've done a little bit of remodeling, but until we can keep the critters out of here, I don't want to do a whole lot of work on the interior because it's just going to be destroyed by local animals. So the first priority is to keep them out, and then we can do a little better job of remodeling the interior of this train into a cabin. Here's the back of car number 1, and this has a few more displays on the walls of monorail history. And then it's got just a bunch of random stuff stored. And over here is the driver's cab, which we saw earlier. And then we've got the rest of the train and our nice deck. Now, I've only kept the first 2 cars here. So I use the first 2, and some friends of mine have taken over the other cars, so I don't use the entire monorail, although we all participate in maintenance and upkeep and building things like this deck. Alright, so it's time to work on raccoon patrol. So that means I need to crawl down under here in the basement of the monorail, where the track would have been, and drag some of my chicken wire in there and start tacking it up anywhere that is a raccoon-sized hole. There's a lot of random equipment down here. It's kind of the forgotten, forbidden zone of the monorail. It's part of the wheel drive system. It's part of the frame. So I'm just kind of crawling around under here looking for anywhere that a raccoon could squeeze up into the cab. Well, here's a spot that I had blocked off before, but somebody's pulled the chicken wire aside, so that's probably about a raccoon-sized hole, at least a small raccoon, so to fix that. As you can see, there's not a lot of space down here. I'm kind of crouching and hunched up underneath, and even though there's not much space, there's still plenty of room to keep losing my tools, so I had a pocket full of zip ties when I came in here. They've vanished, so they're somewhere in the mud underneath the train. So when I find those, I can start zip tying some chicken wire into this hole. as you can see, this project is not pretty, and nobody's really going to see this except raccoons. I don't really care what it looks like. I just want it to work. Alright, now this is part of the old air conditioning system, which we do not use because all the equipment is 480 volts and we don't have 480 out here. I don't think this is a raccoon-sized hole. That's like a ferret-sized hole, but yeah, I'm not going to bother sealing that up. I guess baby raccoon could get in here. I don't know where this goes, but I might as well jam some stuff up in there. I'm probably ruining my scissors by doing this, but I couldn't find my wire clippers, so just using these. I'm pretty sure I have my hand stuck between these pipes now. And my eyes are full of dust, and there are at least 3 spiders in my ears. So this is a success so far. Oh, there's a little baby salamander friend. He's cool. I hope I'm not sitting on any of his brothers. He's so little. Okay, he's going underneath the railroad tie, so that makes him a little more safe from squishing. Eventually, I want to raccoon-proof this entire area underneath the monorail. Oh, look, there's my car keys. It's a good thing I filmed over here. Those fell out of my pocket. So eventually, I want to raccoon-proof all this, which is why I have sandbags, or technically these are rice bags filled with sand, but anyway, I've blocked off the gap between the bottom of the monorail and the ground. And then I've been trying to chicken wire off these sections, but it looks like the raccoons have been pushing it apart again, so I need to do a better job of that. And there's a really big gap over here, so I'll try to fix that. And then I need more sandbags for the gap on this side. Alright, I think I'm done down there for the moment. Covered in mud and filled with spiders, and I have made friends with a salamander, and hopefully I have kept some raccoons out of the monorail cab. So we'll clean out some of that poop inside the monorail, and hopefully it doesn't show up again. If it does show up again, then we have not kept the raccoons out of here, and I will have to crawl back in there and tack more fencing up underneath. So we'll see what happens with that. I definitely prefer possums in my monorail over raccoons. Alrighty, time to do some cleanup inside the monorail control panels. It's not pretty down in there. The driver's cab of this monorail also acts like a greenhouse because it's all windows and it's south facing, so it's like 1,000 degrees in here. I do have a little fan up in this vent that's supposed to be a solar powered vent fan, but I don't know if it keeps up, so it's really hot in here. Alrighty, I've done some cleaning inside the monorail driver's cab. So we should now have at least 60% less raccoon poop in here. So it's actually a lot more pleasant now. There's no little filthy handprints on the walls. The seats aren't dirty. And the driver's cab here is actually a nicer place to hang out, aside from the crippling heat. But it's actually kind of a nice place when it's cooler outside. This is a nice warm greenhouse type area to hang out in. And we do actually have this little sunshade, so could pull that down if we want less heat in the summer. Got my little museum displays here. And some of our concept art for the monorail cabin. Our control panel. Look, they even left the keys in the monorail. And I've got my little monorail museum with my dioramas of various toy monorails that I've found. And some tickets from monorails I've ridden. And things I found on eBay and some other random things. So that's a really fun little display. Get my history over here. It's a little overgrown out here, but we're working on bushwhacking out the jungle and keeping this a little more clear. And then we've got our nice deck to hang out on. So it's a pretty nice spot. All right, that's about all I have for this video. Thanks for watching, and go ahead and like and subscribe. Do all the usual YouTube things if you want. And stay tuned for future monorail cabin adventures. And then, of course, check out my other videos for other projects that I've done, like potato cannons and boats and whatever else. We'll see you next time.